Good morning. Hello, everyone. Jim here from Storm Warning News, and I should be reporting news right now, but I've got to share another dream with you, and somehow I believe this is tied with the visions of the radio the words that I saw yesterday. I had just woke up. I am barely out of bed, but I felt like I had to get this up right away. All right. In this dream I just had, probably within the last hour, uh, there were two men in a public restroom, a public men's room. And it looked very similar to a men's room in a place where I used to work. Small public men's room with one stall, two urinals, sink and a mirror, white paint on the walls. And it was though I was either hovering in there or I walked in on them. It's 1:56 a.m. right now. And there was one man who was hiding in the stall. He was in the stall with the door closed, but he wasn't in there using the toilet. He was in there hiding. Another man was standing at the sink. And the man standing at the sink was very tall. I would say he was probably 6'7", 6'8". And I remember him, he was a Caucasian man in this dream, wearing a green t-shirt. He had white curly hair. He was wearing a cap that was maybe khaki colored. Green t-shirt again. I could not see his face. He was facing the mirror. Yet his mirror, the mirror did not have a reflection of him. He was facing the mirror as though he was looking in the mirror, but there was no reflection of him in the mirror. Now, isn't that interesting? He was wearing denim shorts, white socks, and khaki colored shoes. And he knew I was in the room. And there was a conversation going on between the man in the stall and the man at the sink, the very, very tall man with white hair at the sink. And they were discussing phones. And they were discussing intel on phones or information. And I'm not sure what their allegiances or their affiliations were, these two men, but they knew each other. And the tall man showed me his phone, but yet it was a black screen. You couldn't see anything on it. It's because I was not supposed to see what was on the phone. But he was showing me breaches. This is the breach. This is where it's going to happen. This is where it's going to happen. And yet I couldn't see it. And the man in the stall was telling him, no, don't show him that. Don't show him that. He's not allowed to see that. The man in the stall, of course, I could not see him, but there was something purely wicked about him. The man at the sink looking in the mirror, whose reflection was not in the mirror, even though he was looking right into it, I'm not sure what he was. I'm not sure if he was someone evil, something good. I shouldn't say good. I don't suspect he was. He was up to something. But the man in the stall was telling him, don't show him what's on the phone. And I was kind of confused. I wondered why I was even in there. I was thinking, I don't work here in this place anymore. Why am I in this restroom? And there was something on the phone that had to do with maps, information shared by text, information shared by Twitter. It's like this phone that he showed me, even though I couldn't see a thing on it, I knew that what was on his screen was a multitude. Okay, a multitude of different things. It was tweets, it was texts, it was maps. And then as I felt like I wanted to get out of there. I did not want to see what was on that phone. I just felt in my spirit, I don't want to see. I'm glad I can't see what it is. The coast of the U.S. was shown to me again. Even though I wasn't seeing it on the phone, I saw it. And I've mentioned before, the coasts are not clear. And then I discerned that the coast means the literal coast of the U.S., east around Florida through the Gulf and up the West Coast, but it's also representative of a protective perimeter, a wall, if you would, a fence, something protecting the United States. And then I saw the word breach, and I knew that the breach was a multitude of things. It could have been military, but it was also cyber. It was also a manner of communications. In other words, the breach, the coast had been breached and attacks were coming in, but they weren't just military. They were also cyber, from what I believe, from what I can discern. They were financial. The breach all the way around was being penetrated. There was a military component, there was a cyber component, and there was a banking component for some reason. But I wasn't supposed to see it, yet I knew it was on the phone, and these two men had something to do with it. It was startling to me, and it was confirmation of my feeling in my spirit about the coasts of the U.S. and the coasts not being clear. Had a flash in that dream of my yellow radio and a confirmation of we need to remember the radios because they may be what we have left during this time. But I had walked in to the restroom while these men were discussing this intel or information that they had that was to remain secret, that I was not supposed to know. And yet the tall man, again, standing at the sink, looking in the mirror, and yet I knew his reflection was not in the mirror, even though he was looking at it. He was okay with me seeing it, but yet I couldn't see it because the phone screen was dark, just like this. And the man in the stall was saying, don't show him, he can't see that. The man in the stall was very, very agitated, and there was something extremely wicked about him. And of course, I could not see him, but I knew he was in there, hidden behind the door of the stall. The man standing at the sink with the shorts, the green t-shirt, the khaki hat, the khaki shoes, the very, very tall man with very white skin, white curly hair. He may have had some thick sideburns too. The man with no reflection, he was okay with me seeing it, and yet I couldn't see it. But I come away with the feeling of something very wicked, information being shared amongst a group of people, texts, tweets, and maps. Now, of course, I'm always looking at text, tweets, and maps, so I start to rationalize it as, well, okay, those are things you would see, yes. So my brain is using those as representations to me because they are familiar to me, and that restroom is familiar to me. So there are familiar things being used as representations of something. What I take from this is it is a warning. It is a warning of breaches. It is a warning of men operating in secret, which we know they are. But two particular men I cannot put a finger on. And the man that did not have a reflection in the mirror, even though he was looking in the mirror, may be the most unsettling thing about this. I'm going to continue to pray about it. I thank you for all the messages that you're sending, the emails of information, as the lines of communication start to open up. There's communications right now. There are communications of good people, people who follow Christ, who are pursuing truth and sharing truth, And there are also communications right now between very evil men and women who are doing the work of the devil. And what this is going to lead to likely is major war, militarily, cyber, banking. I'm not clear on the banking. But it's best that right now that we have our houses in order and that we stay prayed up, we stay prepared, we do our best to discern friend from foe. Discern friend from foe. Very important right now. This applies to me, this applies to you, this applies to all of us. Discern friend from foe. And this requires prayer. That's what I've got. This is Jim signing off. God bless you, and I will see you soon.